Fantastic Four First Steps is fantastic. I really enjoyed this. Apparently, the fourth time is the charm with getting the Fantastic Four on the big screen because Marvel Studios has done it at last. I mean, it's been done several times before. You had the Roger Corman version that was made to apparently never actually be released, only ever came out as a bootleg. You had the version with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, and those I didn't think were really that great. You had the other version that came out that was this one-off thing where everybody was, as I call it, younger, hotter TM. That wasn't really that great. But this time we have a Fantastic Four movie that feels like a Fantastic Four movie. It feels like a 60s, early to mid-60s comic book come to life. It is set in the world of Earth 828, which is, we don't need to get into that, but that's just the world it's set in. So yes, it looks like the early 60s of America and New York City, but it's a little different. It's a little bit more futuristic. It's a little bit more not art deco. It's a little more retro futuristic stylish. And boy, does this movie look good. So I saw this in IMAX. This is one of those that says filmed for IMAX, and sometimes that means, like one scene in the film fills the IMAX screen, or occasionally, or when there's action. But this was a film where the whole thing fills the IMAX screen the whole time. To my eye, it mostly meant there was just a little extra headroom a lot of the time. Like, I think if you watch this in a standard widescreen setting, you're not really missing much other than a little bit of extra visual information that's not really essential to what you're seeing. But if you go see it in IMAX, it is much more enveloping, it is much more immersive, and they do fully use the screen. I saw this at an AMC theater, which usually, if you know AMC theaters, they have a countdown that basically gets you hyped up for IMAX, where it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like you're going through these circles. They redid that, or Marvel Studios, or somebody redid that to be Fantastic Four themed, so it fits in with the visual style and the vibe of the film you're about to watch, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. So what we have here is, much like the recent Superman film, which I really enjoyed, we have a film where the superheroes are happy people. They're upbeat. I mean, they get sad and upset sometimes, but overall, they are positive, upbeat, decent people. They are a team of scientists. This is a film that exalts the smart people. This is a film that trusts the smart people. And the smart people don't always have the answers, but boy, God, howdy, are they going to really, really try to save the world. Yes, this is a save the world film. The basic plot here is that the Fantastic Four, and here's a novel idea, this film, much like the recent Superman film, takes it as read that the Fantastic Four are a thing. They've been a thing for a year. This film takes about a minute or less to tell you how they got to be who they are. This isn't this isn't, the fourth origin story on film. This film, I'm loving that filmmakers with these iconic long-running superhero franchises or superhero comic book franchises are okay with realizing that, people can look up who these people are before they get to the movie, or we can just have a scene in the middle, or we can have a scene up front that really kind of quickly re-encapsulates, for those who don't know, how these people got to be this way. But this film joins the Fantastic Four already in progress. They are national treasures. They are, if you don't know, Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, sort of the leader of the team, and the basic story of the Fantastic Four, if somehow you don't know, is that they're these team of scientists who went up into space, they got blasted by cosmic rays, and they came back changed. So Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal, can stretch body parts, don't go there, stretch body parts in different ways, and is super intelligent scientist. You have his wife, Sue Storm, who can become invisible and do this and cause things to stop, or she has a force field power. She is portrayed by Vanessa Kirby, British actress. Elon Moss, have to look because I didn't know. Elon Moss-Bacharach is Ben Grimm, who turns into Thing, which is like this rock man with a heart of gold. And then you have Joseph Quinn, also a British actor who was known mostly as Eddie on Stranger Things. He is Johnny Storm, and he is a man who can turn into be engulfed in flames and have it not hurt him. So they are up against Galactus, which is this giant, Earth-eating or planet-eating interstellar being who set its sights on Earth. And he sent the Silver Surfer ahead to tell everybody, you're all doomed. You're all doomed. Thank you. I'm going to leave now on this silver surfboard. Just want to let you know you're all going to die. Bye. And that is portrayed. It's portrayed by, but it's CGI. So I think it was a motion capture thing. Julia Garner. So different than we've seen on film before. A female silver surfer didn't bother me a bit. And we also learned that Sue Storm, very early in the film, I'm not a spoilery guy, we learned very early in the film that Sue Storm is with child. and Galactus wants that child for some nefarious purpose. So it's protecting the baby and the unborn child and all this other stuff. It is super fun. It is very funny. It has some very nice little visual things that are hidden. One of the reasons to see this in IMAX or the biggest screen possible is there are so many details packed into this film. Some of them are little Easter eggy things, and some of them are just cool details about this little world or big world that they all live in. Effects are very good. Occasionally there are some things that are a little CGI-y for my personal taste, and that is unfortunately the world that we live in now. The production design of this film, I was watching this movie and I'm thinking, if the sound went out in this film, if I was watching this silent, I would enjoy it almost as much because it is so gorgeous to look at, between the color and the early 60s vibe to it. And I kept saying, if you know the TWA Hotel, it's the old TWA terminal at JFK Airport in New York City that they have maintained, and it was designed in that very, very unique aesthetic, super space age, futuristic kind of thing. The whole movie looks like that. Like, there are sequences in the Baxter Building in the Fantastic Four's hideout and lair sound like they're for a villain. The Fantastic Four's place of residence and scientific business. There are places in their living space where if you told me, oh yeah, they actually went to the TWA Hotel and shot that in a corner, I would have been, oh yeah, obviously, because that's clearly what that looks like. It's a beautiful production design. I mean, if this is not Oscar-worthy production design, I don't know what is. The entire cast is super fun. It's just a fun movie. This is, again, 2 in a row. And some theaters are pairing these together. Some drive-ins are pairing these together as I record this, as these films are still in theaters. Superman and Fantastic Four. What a wonderful double feature that will make for anybody. And I hope we get many more of these. Now, I am a little nervous. I don't know my comic book lore. I don't know where it's going, and I don't try to know where these things are going. I try to go in as blind as I can. I hope this isn't an X-Men First Class kind of thing, where they made X-Men First Class and it was set in the 60s and it had a great vibe, and I'm like, great, make a bunch more in this setting. And the next one, it's like, oh no, now we're in the 70s, because 70s is a little bit cooler, aren't they? And then they made another one, like, oh no, now they're in the 80s, because the 80s is a little bit cooler, isn't it? I'm like, I know it's expensive, but can you just keep them in the 60s? Because this is a really cool thing, and no other movies are set in this time period. I know it costs a lot of money, I know it's a lot more work, but let us not race to get the Fantastic Four into the modern day, because in my brain, those were always the lamest films about time travel, were the ones where somebody from the past comes here, because then you don't have to do anything. You just have them walk around in modern day LA, and oh my God, Beastmaster, he's a guy in a loincloth, and he's in downtown LA, and all we had to pay for is loincloth. I hope they don't do that with these films, but I've heard some indications that they probably will try to bring them into more of a modern setting. But feast on this one while you can. See it in IMAX if you can. But really, this is very much a big screen experience. As with all Marvel movies, are there things throughout the film? Yes, there are. There is a Marvel template tends to be a mid-credit sequence. So you watch the credits for a while, and then there's a little bit more of a scene that furthers the plot. And then this one had people in the audience gasping. And then if you go to the very, very end of the credits, which are long because it takes like 1,000 people to work on these modern effects films, there's something at the very end. It's not really another scene, but it is something that sort of explains an aspect of the film and is a very nice tribute to one of the creators of the Fantastic Four. So if you can see this, please do. It is very, very fun. I can't wait for the next one. This is the kind of movie that I would probably go see again, this and Superman, because they're just so enjoyable and so fun and so positive and so uplifting and zippy and just cool. And it's the rare time that I say this, I almost wish this film was longer. I want to spend more time with these characters. I want to see more about their non-superhero lives, and I want to see them fight. And they do a great thing too in the beginning where they're recapping the history of the Fantastic Four so far. It's couched as like a TV special celebrating their first year, and they show all these clips of them vanquishing all of these creatures and monsters, much lower stakes than this film, which is what I always say too, is can we have a superhero movie that's an hour and a half and they just have to stop a thing, and it's not the end of the world every time? But I think Hollywood feels like everything has to be ginormous stakes, and what that results in is superhero film after superhero film about the end of the world or the end of the universe. And when you're getting a couple of these a month, that gets tiresome after a while. It shows clips of the Fantastic Four vanquishing these other villains, and they're all like classic 60s Fantastic Four comic book covers, which I thought was a really nice touch. One thing I will say, and you know, I've got a weird thing about this. Film was shot in England. It is a predominantly British cast, and there's a thing I call Foamericans, which is British people doing American accents, and some can do it and you'd never know, and some can do it, and if you've seen enough of it, it just leaps right out at you. Like Mark Gatiss, who is super cool. He's a big horror fan. He's done some really good work in front of and behind the camera. He is like this TV host, like this, Ed Sullivan kind of guy, but he just screams British guy trying to speak American to me, and it just yanked me out of the film. And there's a few other cast members throughout like that. They just feel faux, but I guess we can chalk that up to it being Earth 828. And on Earth 828, a lot of people who live in New York City just sound like they're British pretending they live in New York City. Anyway, that's just a weird thing that always jumps out at me as being a mega fan of British cinema and television. It was always, it started off as kind of amusing, and then eventually it became kind of annoying to me. So anyway, fantastic film, Fantastic Four, in theaters now, streaming forevermore after that.